Yes, you heard me right. My theory about the chemical reaction between NEL Isagi and Kaiser has officially been confirmed. I know, it's pretty exciting, right? If you saw my last video where I talked about the different styles and chemical reactions we could see in Blue Lock Rivals, you might remember I mentioned the possibility of NEL Isagi and Kaiser having a reaction together. And guess what? It's here! We can now see it on the official Blue Lock Rivals cover, and it's exactly what I was talking about. I'm so happy to see it, and honestly, this is just the beginning. But wait, that's not all. I think there's more to this than just the new chemical reaction. So, in today's video, I want to talk about everything that's going on with this new chemical reaction, the changes to how it works, and why NEL Isagi might finally get the buffs he deserves. Plus, we'll talk about Kaiser, Don Lorenzo, and King. Yes, they might have new reactions coming too. But let's focus on the big news today: Isagi and Kaiser. Before we jump in though, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're on the road to 50,000, and I really appreciate every single one of you helping me get there. Thank you so much for that, and let's get started. Alright, so if you've been following my content, you know that I've been talking about chemical reactions for a while now. And let's be honest, this is one of the most exciting updates for Blue Lock Rivals. So yes, my theory with NEL Isagi and Kaiser was correct. They're finally getting their chemical reaction added to the game, and I'm so glad that I called it. But let's take a moment to appreciate why this is such a big deal. We've all seen how powerful these two players are individually in the manga. Isagi has the world-class style and Kaiser is just a beast with his shots, so putting them together in the game with a chemical reaction is a huge step forward. The cool thing is that in my last video, I predicted that this could happen, and now it's confirmed. We can actually see them together in the game, which is amazing. But here's the thing, even though NEL Isagi is a world-class character, he's actually not used that much by players anymore. Think about it, how many of you have seen people using NEL Isagi in matches recently? For me, I've only come across a couple of players using him in the past couple of weeks. And for a world-class character, that's really not a good sign. So, in my opinion, NEL Isagi definitely needs some buffs to make him relevant again. I'm hoping the devs will notice this too, especially since chemical reactions are going to be such a big feature moving forward. And let's be real, Isagi needs some tweaks, and I think the devs understand this. I also want to talk about how chemical reactions will work, which is going to be a new button. So, let's dive into the new mechanic for chemical reactions. In case you haven't seen the official announcement, one of the lead devs in the Blue Lock Rivals Discord posted a sneak peek about how the new chemical reaction system is going to work. And honestly, it's going to be so much better than before. So let's break it down. Here's the big change. A new button will be added to the game to make it easier to activate chemical reactions. In the past, activating a chemical reaction could be kind of confusing, especially since it was all based on passes between players. But now, with this new button, players won't have to rely on those passes as much. Let me explain. Let's take Sai and Shido as an example. Before, players would have to time a pass perfectly in order to activate the reaction. But now, Shido will just press the new button, and as soon as Sai passes him the ball, a perfect pass will trigger, activating the chemical reaction. This makes it a lot smoother, and you don't have to worry about timing the pass perfectly. It's a simple button press, and that's it. And here's the best part. Distance requirements have been removed, so it doesn't matter how far apart the players are anymore. As long as they press the button, the chemical reaction will happen. That's a huge improvement. I know a lot of players have been frustrated trying to trigger a reaction from a long distance, and now, that's not going to be a problem. Now I'm curious, what do you all think about this change? Do you think it's going to make chemical reactions more common and useful in games? I personally think it's a great improvement. It makes the whole system easier to use, and I think players will appreciate it. Plus, it's about time we had a cooldown timer for chemical reactions. Before, no one really knew how long they had to wait for the next one, and that could be super annoying. With the new system, you'll be able to see exactly how long you have to wait, and I think that's a nice touch. Existing chemical reactions. What's staying the same? Now, I want to clear up something important. Existing chemical reactions like the ones between Otoya and NEL Bachira or NEL Isagi and Hiyori are not going to change. The way those reactions work, including the animations and mechanics, will stay the same. So don't worry, you won't lose any of your favorite moves or combos. The only big change for these characters is that they'll now have a new button to activate their reactions. However, for Sei and Shidu, there's one exception. The distance requirement has been removed, so now their chemical reaction can trigger from any range. It makes sense, right? If these players are already so skilled, like they should be able to work together no matter the distance. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the new chemical reactions. We've already seen Kaiser and NEL Isagi featured in the official cover, so it's safe to say that their reaction is going to be a big part of the next update. But how is this one going to work? Well, neither NEL Isagi nor Kaiser has a pass move that automatically triggers a chemical reaction, like Hiyori and NEL Isagi or Sae. So how are the devs going to make their reaction work? Simple. With the new button. This new system allows characters who don't have a pass move to still trigger a chemical reaction. So NEL Isagi and Kaiser will both use the button to activate their powerful combo. I think we'll see a really cool animation here. If you've read the manga, you'll know there's a scene where Isagi and Kaiser team up for a shot. My guess is that the new animation will be based on that iconic moment. A direct shot combined with Kaiser impact. Honestly, it's going to be epic. I'm sure the animators are going to make this one of the best combos in the game. What's even more exciting is that there are likely going to be more new chemical reactions. I'm hoping we'll see Don Lorenzo and King get their own reaction, as well as a possible one for Nagi and Reo. These two pairs are fresh characters, so it makes sense to give them some cool new mechanics. And of course, we can expect the usual U20 reactions with Bachira and Isagi and others. I'm really excited to see how these new reactions will play out in the game. It's clear that the devs are putting a lot of effort into making the gameplay more dynamic and engaging, and I can't wait to try out all these new combos. Now, let's talk about NEL Isagi and what he needs to get back into the meta. Don't get me wrong, he's still strong, but his popularity has dropped off lately. If you think about it, how often do you see NEL Isagi in matches compared to characters like NEL Nagi or Kaiser? Not that often, right? That's because his power level just isn't as strong anymore, especially compared to the newer players. Here's what I think. If they buff NEL Isagi just a little bit, he'll be right back in the spotlight. For starters, his direct shot could be a lot more versatile. Right now, it's kind of predictable. He should be able to aim up or down, giving him more control. His metavision also needs to be reworked. It's honestly not as effective as it could be, and it's hard to use sometimes. If they make it more visually clear and give it more impact, that would make a huge difference. And don't even get me started on his dash, it's good, but it could definitely use a speed boost. So, that's everything I wanted to go over today. I'm seriously hyped about the NEL Isagi and Kaiser chemical reaction. It's been a long time coming, and the new button system is going to make triggering these reactions so much smoother and more popular. Also, I think NEL Isagi could really use some buffs to get back in the spotlight, and I'm hopeful the devs are paying attention to that. But what about you? What do you think about the new chemical reactions? Do you think NEL Isagi and Kaiser are going to be a game changer? Or are there other combos you'd love to see? Maybe Don Lorenzo and King, or Nagi and Ryo? Also, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on Isagi's buffs, like what you'd change about his moves or abilities, drop them in the comments too. I love hearing your ideas. And who knows? Maybe one of them will catch the devs' attention. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I'll be back with more updates and news on Blue Lock Rivals soon. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay tuned and take care.